There you go. Okay, we'll call it an order special Board of Education meeting. Is that, regarding the bond, discussion, most part is that, so we need approval of agenda. Move to approve the agenda. Got a motion to approve?
Again.
Second. All those in favor? Motion carries 0. And that'll get us into the discussion. Where are we at?
We have our guest Maria back here with us.
Yep.
And that would, Maria, if you want me to, I think the right now, we had 4 RFQs returned according to the guidelines, and so Maria and our team met last week, and so I think the options are you could.
Yeah, so tonight we have to create the next step to move on is to determine who all will be included in that next step of doing walkthrough tours and then interviews. The state process says that you have to at least advance 3 of the companies, but since you have 4, you could just advance all 4 of them and interview all 4. If you didn't want to just move forward with all 4, then there are evaluation forms that we would need to go through and fill that out, and each person evaluates them, score them. And then I have another sheet that has a matrix that I can input all of your scores. So those are the next step options is either advance all 4 or to go through and score.
And
them.
the scoring and discussion would need to be.
Yeah.
I don't mind having the 4th option. I mean, it's gonna make the interview thing a little bit longer, but since there's only 4, I don't mind hearing what all 4 of them have to say. Yeah, I'm good.
You guys remember how many we had last time?
I don't. Maybe 2. Yeah.
So I think it was not a bad idea.
I don't know who the 4 are, so.
Simpson, Napolts, Kendall, and VHS.
No, I didn't put them down there because I didn't think we were doing it. Well, Simpson did our last one. So just. Yeah. I think I'd like to hear what all 4 of them have to say, since there's just 4 of them. It don't hurt to have one more option. And they're like.
Probably motion to that.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Okay, so, let's see. I make a motion that we advance all 4 companies. On the construction manager. For interviews and tours.
That's it.
Second, any other discussion? All those in favor? All those opposed? Okay, motion carries 6-1.
The next piece is to work through the interview questions as well as the format for the interview. So your 3rd page, what I handed out are some potential interview questions. You don't necessarily need to narrow it down to just 5, but the thought is whenever we do the walkthrough next Monday, I'm going to give them to the contractors as potential interview questions. And so if there were 5 that made sense that you think are good questions for the majority of the board would like to hear on those items, that would be helpful. Or if there's any questions you don't like, we can just take those out. It's a starting point of 20 potential questions that you could ask. You don't have to ask all 20 of them. My advice is if you ask the same person the same question, or you ask different people the same question, you're going to get a different response. And the response that resonates with you is helpful in determining who you want to move forward with.
On the back of this, you'll see the list of possible questions that Maria put together. It's on that.
Yeah.
Or 19 minutes. So Maria, do you want them to kind of narrow it down tonight?
I think that would be good. yeah. Be helpful for the board to think about in this interview, what the questions are that you want to ask them, or what the things are that you would like to hear from them.
room, and then we'll all go around, at least get one, and that gets us to seven.
There you go.
How's that? Doesn't have one, that'll give us the less than seven. I'll start, I'd like to keep number 11, understand the district has a fixed amount of dollars appropriate for the project, how do you ensure that amount will not be exceeded? Keep 15. Okay. 15 would be the number 2.
Like 17.
Two, 3, 18. 15.
Seven.
Number 7. Number 10.
I like 13. You good one?
13.
Seven. You want to read me back which numbers you have?
Yeah.
Just make sure I have
So
that.
I have number 7.
Mhm.
I have number 10. Number 11. Number 13. 15. 17. And 18. Is that
Got
good
it.
enough?
Yep.
Okay.
For the interview format then, we can have them be longer if you would like, but as a suggestion, having them provide a 20-minute interview presentation and then 15 minutes for question and answer. That would allow you to have about 35 minutes with each company, and we can schedule them every 45 minutes. Do you think that works okay? We talked about January 5th, the date, and starting at 5. If we start at 5, it may be helpful to get here a few minutes before, or then get here right at that time. I could push it back. Or I could start at 5:15 if we want to adjust that all, or
Do you need some time with before the first one?
no, not necessarily. It's just they'll be ready to go at 5. So
Gotcha.
I think that should be, if you guys wanted any discussion, like about how it's gonna go or anything, otherwise.
So Dusty, they'd open the meeting and then pretty much right away go into executive session.
Yeah, and I guess you've been part of it, but it seems to me if you're, and I guess that first one could run past the 35 minutes, but it's not like you're gonna say, I call the meeting to order, okay, first up is whatever, so there's gotta be some lag in there
Yeah,
between whether you start the first one at 5:10 or I don't know.
yeah, I think it'll be. And start 5:05, so it'll be fine.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
And so, yeah, then you open it up and you would go into executive session to protect confidential business information.
So I know, I don't know how the board feels, but lots of times, well, all the time, we leave the owl running even when you're out. The executive session, but I know we don't really have another space conducive to sit in for how many ever hours that is, and so either do we turn the owl off while we're in exec, just, and then
We can.
turn it back on at the end, or
Mhm.
I could do a part one,
or
part
move
two to
the
the
owl
meeting.
outside or something?
Part one could be the adjourn or start of the meeting. Turn it off, and then part two would be when the rest of the meeting starts back up again.
That way
We
you
could do
guys,
that. That's would be,
it might get pretty
Yeah.
tight in other spaces.
Yeah. Yeah, this would be comfortable. But I have no time. Yeah, that would work. Part one and part two.
Great.
Any other questions on that? You're. Or,
So then it is to work through and discuss the scope of the bond. We had the Plan A and Plan B that were the parts that were evaluated, the questions, and the dollars amount that we reviewed at the last board meeting. We also talked about the survey results that we had from the community as well as from the larger community survey and how that compared. And some things went up, but that safety and security was number one throughout. And ADA improvements dropped a little bit to where HVAC, roofing improvements, and maintaining existing buildings was the highest priorities on that. For doing a bond resolution, you are needing the scope of work, the date of the election, the type, a financing plan. And so in that last meeting, we said we were focusing on that Plan A. So we have that amount. In that term length that was previously talked about with Plan A. So with those things, you could move forward with the resolution. But if you wanted to refine some of those parts or pieces or that discussion, that is something that could still be done. This is the example bond question that outlines the scope as we talked about in what's included in that Plan A. So going through the resolution, this would be a part of that to say that this is the scope of work that's being completed with the bond. So as you can see, it summarizes some of those points just to try to help make the question more understandable to the average voter. And what's included in those renovations or those improvements, that's within the documentation that goes to the state for the state to review this once you have the resolution in place to move forward with the bond. So, we had in here that bond plan, breaking that down. I know there were some other additional items that were talked about. The lighting project, for example, was one of those. So if you wanted to say the Plan A, the 15-year, the no tax increase at that amount, if you drop down to just below the bottom line, there's a line that says additional contingency, 144,000. Whenever we look at what's planned scope within each of the buildings and those plans, there's 144,000 that is left not allocated to any specific item through the estimates that were done. The state requires that it is a round whole number, so you it has to be within $5,000. So that's common that you have and what the amount of contingency that you have within a bond, because there's going to be things that like the district office improvements, for example, we have a budget of 245,000. If you spent less than that on this, you can spend more in one of the other categories, or you could move on and pay for some of those additional items. So just to say that one of those, like the lighting project, wasn't in the bond, doesn't mean that you couldn't pay for that. If you completed the scope of all the other pieces that you talked about, you could still do one of these other additional items. So that's where you You don't have to list every single item, but it is good to have an agreement on what should be included in the bond.
So we're gonna talk about what we're gonna put in here.
I think what we need is any adjustments to this.
Well, I can see several, but I don't even know what the parking lot expansion at the district gym even is. We've never ever talked about it as a board. We've never ever talked about doing a parking lot there. We've never talked about it on a board tour.
We did talk about a board tour, one you were.
The one I wasn't at.
Yeah,
Well,
we
okay.
did talk about that.
Okay, so, but we've never discussed doing that. But we did discuss doing ADA improvements, and all those are over here in the additional items. The only ADA improvement is the playground or ADA improvement up there on playgrounds. There's nothing in any of the buildings, so we're more apt to have ADA improvements outside our buildings than inside our buildings where our kids are learning. So I'm not in favor of doing any parking lot expansion at the district gym. I just didn't see all that stuff over there put in it. So,
I'm in favor of the additional parking lot being an additional item to price it out and see where we're at. If nice left, but I agree, it's not a priority.
yeah, but all that stuff over there, if we need lower access at Lincoln, we need to do it. If we need Garfield second floor, we need to figure out a way to
What
do it.
is, I had a question, the Garfield second floor access is supposed to be $1 million. So,
This one's the chairlift.
A chair lift to go up the stairs. A track, it'd run on a track up the stairs.
okay.
But the education of kids is not impeded by us not having the things in our building. All of the kids that are involved, the parents that are involved are great with the kids who need ADA compliance, the classrooms that they go on the main floor. There isn't anything on the second floor of Wakefield that can't be moved to the first floor and taught there.
Where are you gonna move it to?
That you switch the classrooms around.
So if you get somebody that gets hurt in sports and they can't go up and down the stairs like we have right now with a senior, and he has 3 classes on the second floor. So when he's supposed to be in those classes, he sits in the library. So I mean, I just, those are the things that this is our opportunity to do that kind of stuff
Right,
and get it done and,
right.
but,
No, I agree.
Versus
I
the
think
outdoor.
those $2 amounts though can be done on capital outlay.
but they're not even on the 10-year plan.
Right, is that,
None of that ADS stuff's on the 10-year plan that we got sent today.
okay.
And when you talk about the playground and the outside ADA improvements, that is something that the kids can't do right now. There isn't an alternate plan for them to be able to participate in the playground because they're not
There is a
ADA.
Lincoln. I don't even know what that entails
Well, that's because.
for $895,000. We haven't even talked about what that entails.
But we did on the tour and in the documents after the tour that were presented to the board.
So do you have that document?
I'm
It's
sure
in
we
the-
have it, yeah.
Well, I'd like to see it because I've never seen it.
It's
Oh,
in the
it's been in-
VHS stuff under the Lincoln School, under each school, there's a playground improvement line.
I know, but that doesn't say what we're doing. I mean, what are we doing for $900,000?
We're replacing a lot of that equipment.
Okay.
And putting in the turf area is not as big, but there will be a turf area at each school. Will be in there.
And that's more important than having
And then
ADA
there's
access inside
fencing.
our buildings?
Yes.
Is that,
Because, again, there is an alternate plan to provide everything that those kids need in the building, that they don't have an alternate plan to participate fully outside.
I'm a no vote then. I'm sorry.
so.
Okay, so could you just break it down maybe by building? Let's just talk about
First
Lincoln.
off, how about this? I'd like to get rid of the district gym and put the lighting project in there.
The lighting project has a return on investment.
It's gonna pay for itself in 4 years. You'll replace a $605 item with something that's around $350.
Weren't some of the district gym updates like necessary for maintenance so it doesn't degrade further?
But,
Or can that be things that we can cover in capital outlay?
so my first thing, how does everybody feel about that, is getting the LED lighting and being a part of it? Instead of the district gym, or a district parking lot, not the district gym, but the
Just the parking lot
just the
work.
parking lot part for the district.
I'd rather go with the LED improvements, because if we're gonna go through on the scope of a project.
Right.
Yeah, of this magnitude,
Right.
then why?
So how
not
much of
wanna
that six hundred
incorporate
and five thousand is the parking?
450.
450.
And if you add in the ADA, those 3 ADA items, that's 440. So they're almost an even switch on that too.
You could also take the district gym out, add the ADA stuff in, and then use capital outlay to fund the lighting project.
But off the bid, the lighting project doesn't have to be done all at once. I took it as that, we had to accept it and that's a big bite.
Yeah, you could cross 2 fiscal years. You could budget June and July and tackle half of 345 and do a PO and have the project start in July.
Okay, so where would that fit into your capital outlay?
Well, you'd have to move some things around, switch some things around, and that's why I said draft, because that 10-year is highly dependent on what you guys choose here. But if you guys say, hey, this is what I want to do, I'll go back to the drawing board and move some things around and then bring it back to you, and you guys can say yay or nay to that. But I'm confident we can fit the lighting project.
So I do think this is going to take care of if we can do the lighting project more through capital outlay and cross over 2 years to put the ADA stuff in the bond and take out the parking lot for the district gym.
I mean, that bus barn improvement, what was that total? Was that interior stuff, exterior stuff? Was that paving? Was that?
The bus barn was,
What meeting did we cover in that? Remember?
We talked about taking a road out the back and doing all that kind of stuff, but is that still what that 88,000 covers? or-
no,
No, that's
the road.
No, that went out with the, not doing the addition, we're gonna do all that back there. So that went out.
I thought we were trying to create another entrance into the bus barn.
I think that's under Lincoln's scope, isn't it?
That's correct.
So that road is under Lincoln scope and expanding the parking lot there.
Yeah, you want to flip to that slide?
So let's start with Lincoln, let's go to Lincoln.
So at Lincoln, we have the secure entrance, the fire alarm, the cameras, roofing, playground and turf, the ADA improvements.
What are the ADA improvements in it?
That on here, it would be the playground.
The playground.
All the green.
And then, the exterior envelope,
So moving that transformer built into that?
yes.
So there is no parking going out the back on Lincoln scope of the bus barn,
Correct.
like we had talked.
Cause we're not losing any parking,
Yeah.
since we're not doing any additions. We would have lost parking if we'd have done the additions.
So the playground updates, that's just ADA, or is that a modern playground on the west side?
The primary purpose is for ADA improvements, so, there would be some on both the west and on the east side. Because some of that pre-K
Equipment
area,
and
the
turf.
equipment.
So equipment and turf.
It's new play equipment.
So there wouldn't be much dirt in any longer on the west side of Lincoln.
Just where the green's at.
Just that, okay.
Currently, there's the tire,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's replacing the black tire chips,
Yeah.
correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
So on that security entry part of that, is that gonna be just that hallway area before you get to the main hall? That area where you come in the front door?
Yes.
Is that what you're doing there? Moving that second set of doors back
Yeah,
Okay.
further into the building.
further into the building?
Yeah.
Okay.
Cleans up the line of sight.
Well, yeah, because it looks like Garfield, we're adding to the front of the building. Out to the front of that music room or lunchroom or whatever, it's right there, the next room over. The music room, I think, is the next room. It looks like we're adding to the front of the building out to the sidewalk.
The
Is that
intent
correct?
is not to add on more if we can do it with just doing it on the inside. If we can get another door in and just do it all interior, that would be the primary.
Garfield
take
already
away
has
the
a vestibule and you poke a hole through the current vestibule and add a door and then traffic comes in the vestibule and goes into the office and then out.
So this really need to.
So you're gonna go out of the deal that's there now into the office and then back into and eliminate the door too.
Well, those
Those will still stay.
But, yeah.
Okay.
Lincoln, is there anything else on Lincoln?
But then at Lincoln, the mobiles. Then basically the removal, to do any removal of the mobiles, then capital outlay would take care of that because that should be minimum cost.
We can't remove them unless we have a place to put the classrooms that are in there.
Correct.
So,
Well, when it comes to that point in time.
Well, didn't we eliminate some classes? I mean, we're down to 3 sections, first grade, kindergarten.
did we already hash this out the last 3 meetings?
And we discussed that anyway, about the longevity of the mobiles and that they were kind of reaching their lifespan.
Yeah, but we're still using them, so. We don't need to.
If trends
Last time
can,
we talked, we thought we could get rid of one of the mobiles
yeah,
fairly quickly.
yeah, if trends continue, the one that's on wheels can move, we can sell it or do whatever at very minimal cost. That one,
That's the one outside of the kindergarten,
yeah,
correct?
that one.
Yeah.
And then that one, I would say we'd wanna leave put for a while, just to make sure trends continue in the right direction for enrollment.
So we would get rid of one of the two. Right now.
So do they currently use those 2 rooms in the basement as classrooms?
There's one being used right now.
So there's one that's not.
It's used for project lead supplies and stuff. Some kids go down there for project leads. Some of the older kids that come over from Garfield. But music is downstairs.
But all the other regular classrooms will be able to get upstairs. That's the.
As long as
Yes,
trends continue.
right, right.
We put all the roofs in capital outlay, how much would that free up in the bond?
I don't have it off the top of my head, but I don't think you could afford to do the middle school roof out of capital outlay. It's sort of too big of a ticket item.
Okay.
But the other ones, I'm saying ballpark here, and I can get you an exact number, but probably in that 500,000-600,000 range if you took out.
1.4 million in roofing total, and there's 994,000 in the middle school roof.
Oh,
So
Half a million.
400,000.
Yeah, the middle school roof is one of those. At 900 to $1 million, you know, that would just, as you guys know, would completely wipe out a year and a half capital outlay budget. So that would be really challenging to accomplish, if not impossible, for just capital outlay.
Any other discussion on Lincoln?
No.
So the only possibility there at Lincoln would be adding that ADA. Chairlift.
Who's asking for it? I mean, if the school isn't asking for it, the parents aren't asking for it, why are we adding it as 7 people?
Why do we have 4 of them at Clay Center High School?
I mean, part of the bond was to improve the ADA.
Right,
So we had
but-
the opportunity to do that at a reasonable cost. So,
But if we're working to get the classrooms out of those 2 rooms, it just doesn't seem to make
I
sense to
will
me.
say that I have had to work with both Lincoln and Garfield this year on how to safely take children to the basement.
Okay,
And I've had to spend a lot of time at both buildings doing that.
okay, thank you.
So. Yeah. For tornado purposes, just so we could do our fall tornado drop.
Cause they don't have a safe
No,
room at the
neither
ground
of
level.
them do, no.
30, we did the 88 at Lincoln School. The
Lincoln,
basement,
I had as 165.
160.
Basically, if you took all the roofs, except the middle school, took them off the bond, you could do the lighting and all the ADUs.
Yeah, that is, whether you do the lighting or the roof, or the, handle that way.
Like, except for the middle school, I mean, I think the replacing the roofing just went good. Through the capital outlay. You know, that has been, because of what was done, we've been able to handle that. You know, I mean, when I see the return on the LED lighting, I think we need to jump on that. We need to get that done. We've got a bid, it's good for however long, but we got a bid and we need to move forward. What was it, 4 years or just over 4 years? That would pay for itself.
And Maria did have her people look into that.
Yeah.
And there's lots of different creative options, like Maria shared, even with your alternate list, you keep your alternate list and then as your projects come in, if you know, those costs have a lot of contingency built in them to be absolutely sure they're safe. And so there's pretty good odds that by the time you're done with your list that you choose over there, that towards the end of the bond, you'll be able to start picking alternates that you want to tackle with what you have left over in contingency. And so an idea might be to leave a couple out here on the contingency that you guys think are important, with the intention of, as you, if the bond passes, then as you close in, you could start picking some of those other projects.
So I'd be in favor of putting the ADA in there and putting the roofing as the alternate. Cause then if you had enough money, you could take one of them off and put the rest on the capital outlay, or take two off or whatever.
Right.
I mean, them could be our alternates out there, all the roofs, except for the middle school. The middle
Right.
school needs to be in the bond.
Right, is that, because those alternates off the side shouldn't be high dollar, because I don't think there's any way we're gonna come back and have a whole bunch of money.
No.
But I agree with that. We could knock off some of those. So if we put the LED lighting and the ADA improvements, we took off the, parking lot to the district gym. And we also took off the roofs except for the middle school.
Well, okay, here's the deal. Do you take off, if you take off 400, and what's the parking lot?
450.
450.
Okay, so the LED lighting and those handicap deals and the bus barn thing, I don't still have to figure out what the bus barn deal was. If it's not the parking or not the road going out the back.
I think at one time we discussed it at the bus barn, it was drainage. There was a drainage issue or something with that. I think that was on the sewer.
But there's $88,000
And we,
projected use.
yeah, and we talked about doing something with the outside of those buildings,
That was one thing about it.
so.
Okay,
Is there a slide on this presentation about the bus barn? If we keep going building by building?
No, it's
I can
the building locations on Lincoln.
Bill, yeah, it's on Lincoln, so.
Like there were some windows, some damage around some windows, there's something too. It's that exterior envelope.
I know that siding was getting,
Yeah.
There's a water intrusion.
it was peeling and.
Office area.
Yeah.
that needs to be
There
resolved.
was there was 35,000 that was for the drainage and the gravel, and then 88,000 on the building itself.
That includes then basically the building, and then you take care of the drainage through capital outlay, because I think they're gonna say there's 85 or 88 on the. Right now. And the roofs would be how much? She had the number,
So if you took
not the middle school, but everything else.
just the other roofs, 495,000.
So the lights would take how much of that? We did the LED lighting. That would be $495.
So does that Garfield ADA get the kids to the basement or upstairs or both?
I had that just one set of stairs, so we'd have to double it if it's also to the basement. Yeah.
Because if we're talking tornado.
Yeah,
So we need to do the ADA stuff.
Yeah.
I mean,
In that school, do we need to do it to the second floor?
Go around classrooms.
Yeah.
But the same classes are taught on the first, I mean, it's right upstairs, fifth grade downstairs, and they've just been rotating. There isn't anything special about the second floor versus the first floor. It's not limiting their education, so we could get them safely to the basement and not pay for another $150,000 for a chairlift that we might not need. I mean, I just talked to some parents whose kids are going there and kind of got their thoughts.
I think that the tornado piece is legitimate. Yeah, maybe past ways we've done it aren't as safe as if there is something for that safety reason. You know, you're not gonna have a classroom in the basement. Currently, the fourth grade is on the old side of Garfield and the fifth grade is on the new side. They do departmentalize, and just currently the way it is, the two math teachers are both upstairs. So one of them is coming downstairs into the library for math class. There have been years that depending on who teaches what, that isn't the setup. If you get to 3 sections of fourth grade, I don't know how that looks, you know, as far as the departmentalizing goes. You can move, I know that's not what teachers want to do, move rooms to different sizes of the buildings. I don't know down the future if you'll use the upstairs as much. But I know you need to be able to get to the basement for sure. And maybe it's or you do the basement one first and then you make a decision on going upstairs if there's money or not.
Well, and if it's 150,000 for a chairlift, then we could do that out of capital outlay if it became an apparent need to get to the
What
second.
And I don't know, you know, your basement is one staircase down where your staircase up is up and a turn. So is there a difference? Then I don't know.
one at Wakefield, then went up and over.
that one in Wakefield rode off the rail.
Yeah. So I know, you know, they do that, so.
So the one that, are they both basically 150,000 piece then if we did have to do 3 of the 8? I can't remember those numbers you had at the start.
I had Wakefield at 175, with the trying the Garfield I had.
$440, yeah.
And then if we add double Garfields,
I think we're just talking about doing more.
Okay.
Right now, Garfield.
the other thing I thinking about Garfield is, I have looked at buildings that are constructed the way that one was. And you may be able to, because of where that stage is all made, and those offices are like straight concrete. Have a structural engineer evaluate that may be better than classrooms downstairs in that building that have windows.
Yeah.
For storm shelter.
And I will, I mean, Brett, please chime in, but I mean. There hasn't been a time that they haven't used those rooms and had to come up with another plan, just depending on the year. I'm also not saying that is. As a teacher that you want to relocate your class, like, I mean, your things are there. They've made it work.
Well, why don't we take the second one and
So.
put it over in the old folder then?
Mhm.
There's money left, but we can do the second one with Garfield, or have that as one of the options. Okay, and that takes care of the ADA.
Those cameras, is that cameras at all the schools then?
Mhm.
And the voiceover, I assume.
Yes,
Yeah, so it'll primarily take over our communication. In all the schools, so, which it needs to be done.
Yeah.
So. That's
So what's after left field?
The middle school
Is the middle school?
has the secure entry, the cameras and fire alarm, the roofing, the parking lot and the bus drive.
And that's just reclaiming the parking lot or is that taking it down to dirt?
That's replacing it.
Replace, that one has to be
And adding that
replaced.
driveway out
Yeah.
to the ninth street.
Yeah,
So more of a full replacement.
Yes.
yeah, and then adding another exit, so we'll have like a.
Okay.
How wide would that bus lane be? I guess, I just think of when there's basketball going on there, or wrestling. You know, it'd be nice if it was wide enough that,
In and out.
yeah, in and out, instead of just one lane.
I thought for safety, you only wanted it in one lane.
I thought that, that's what I thought too. We're gonna go one.
Yeah, a lot of times they do them one way, but then also do like a parallel parking, so we make it
Right.
wider that you could have a
During
straight
non-school
drive through
hours.
plus some
Yeah.
additional parking.
Yeah, during non-school hours, it would be nice if it had enough to at least add some parallel parking.
Mhm.
So Brett, I got a question on your capital outlay. 27, 28. You had 15,000 to replace sidewalks at the middle school. Where is that? What is that?
I think.
I mean, if we're gonna do the parking lot,
It says south, I think
it
there's,
just says replace sidewalks.
yeah, there's a bunch of these down here that are cracked really bad and don't look good, and then you probably need some sidewalk work going up that way too.
Well, I just think we're tearing that parking lot out. If we had to fix
It's
anything
tied into it.
tied into that, should be part of that, I think. Going down that side.
But it's more along the street.
Let me pull it up, I got it right here.
Even where we ground
And
it
then the
all.
city got already right.
Just
The
take your
city
kids and
got
bike riding
grant
down
to
that way,
take
they can
on
find it,
that
right?
north.
See, my question, is that a city sidewalk since it's by the street, in the street easement? Or is that a school district sidewalk?
School district sidewalk.
Well, it's in a street easement.
But they did get a grant to take that farther north, over where they're planning on doing that.
No, in the residential. It's
supposed to
get it's your sidewalk.
Yeah, it's not.
So it's along the south side.
So it's all down, it's down by the street.
Yeah, it's on the south side.
Okay.
So,
Yeah,
What
that'd
about the
be-
secure entrance at the middle school? Like, what are you gonna have to do there?
There's some, there's a column that's between the secure entry and the office that is really big, so we narrow that up. And then potentially, when you come in that vestibule, if we can take over that area on the north side there, so that you have a better line of sight. Just make that interior vestibule larger, then that would help that.
and I think the windows.
Yeah.
Right, gonna take away some of that trim and all that stuff and make them like full.
And then all of
Full view
them, you would
windows.
move the communication of the patron to the vestibule, that you couldn't connect right to the office. So your people don't wait outside and push the buzzer, they actually come into the vestibule and we'll have some communication device.
Yeah.
With direct line of sight to whoever's in you.
But they're narrow down those columns, I know that, glass, I mean, they're those windows, so they're just more wide open there, so. Just because you're limited there, just like high school, because that's a major walkway for kids through the school day, you can't lose any of that hallway. You know? So most of the middle school is outside,
Mhm.
it should be. Yeah, there's been enough money going inside the last few years.
So where are we going next?
So next we'll go.
High
to
school.
High school.
I think the main thing there is that secured entry, is that you're gonna take that whole hallway?
No, just a portion of it, if we, closest to the inside corner, if we can bring that part in and create an interior vestibule without going across that whole way, then you can get the line of sight. Yeah, I guess there's a photo there on the sheet where you can see.
Yeah. To the right of the doors, you come in, you can get a vestibule one. Same thing with the, all the thick trim around the windows down in the office and narrowing that down and making that more open, just glass, not having all those columns. And they're also open at that line of sight.
So then that'll still leave a hallway to go
Yeah.
down to.
Yes, quite a bit, almost all the way still.
And then the other portion of that entry way that goes back to the music room.
Right,
Then there'll be a
just a hallway left there.
hallway wall, whatever like that.
Mhm.
The gym floor and bleachers were pretty far down on the survey, like what people thought, which I understand they don't have all the knowledge that we do about it, but like, can we get one more ceiling or when's that guy coming?
I mean,
The issue is that over the 10 or 15 years of bond, you're talking
Had
another
to do it at some point.
1.7 million, it's gonna have to be done.
It's not 1.7 million to do the gym floor.
Million.
Well, it's 700,000.
1.2,
I have, 593,000 for the gym floor and 402,000 for the
okay, I
bleachers.
thought it was 1.2, or something like, okay, so it's $1 million and, you know, to bite that off is, you know, and those bleachers are terrible. So, well, you're gonna replace the floor and tear all that out.
Mhm.
You know, if you redo the floor, you're gonna tear them out, you're gonna put them back in because of how bad a shape they're in.
The
So
wood bleachers were terrible.
what's that?
The wood bleachers before that were terrible.
Yeah, exactly. Those are estimates.
I don't know, Graham, you can elaborate on the bleachers. I know you've talked to me about it a bunch, but the bleachers at the gym, what's wrong with them?
Well, they open up at an angle.
That comes straight out.
Fixed part of that where they don't close as much on one end, so it catches up. But, I mean, there's still a lot of parts. I mean, they're gonna need replaced. The gym floor could do another sanding, but it's the underneath side is what the guy told me was,
So like the
Worse than
supports under the floor, yeah, that are supporting the floor.
You know, so you have to go, but that's a big item to bite off in a regular budget, you know, that's what this is for, buy it and get it over, you know.
Well, I think, I drove to the parking lot over the weekend. I don't know if like, right in front of like going by the Tiger, it's out front, if we need to go just that width up there, there's some pretty big holes in that too.
Yeah, I saw that. Maria, we had to, I don't know if that was, we didn't extend it, but this was
Okay.
also an area here that I know we had talked about when we were there, maybe.
But there's some of them parking stalls where there was tree bars sticking out there.
That's middle
That's
school.
middle school.
Well, no, this
No,
one
I
right
think
here,
it's
a lot of it, I think the high school.
There's
Yeah.
some pretty big ones up there,
Like right there towards, up there where Jason's
saying.
talking.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where you can probably see
rebar.
I don't mind.
Yeah. But you know, like driving through that, I think, you know, the rest of that can be pieced together. As we need it. I think at the bottom it's wider than that needs to be replaced, but
Mhm.
I mean, that's gotta be the worst. Where they put asphalt or whatever it was over the top of it, and it's all broken out.
I was on the phone with Jason this morning, and he was actually clowning that, and he said, this is terrible.
We took out all those islands
Yeah.
15 years ago because they kept on hitting them with snowplow.
Did we take the islands out of the middle school?
I think we should.
Be a lot easier to start from.
Yeah.
Just gotta protect the line, but yeah,
Mhm.
whatever they gotta do to protect it, which is just a high pile.
Yeah, put a pile on.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Anything else on the high school? People in the park that are up there, you know. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
This will take the boiler out.
District here. There,
Right, the tunnel plumbing upgrades took the boiler out, right?
so Haydenville then, I think that's where we're going. Here we got the secured entry. Same
Do
thing.
you have to add on there or
Should,
we just need to go in the room?
well, there's a vestibule there already,
Right.
and then there's a hallway between the office and that.
It'd be very similar to your middle school or adding over,
Mhm.
the vestibule to high school, so you bring the patrons inside, you get better line of sight into the office, so they can make eye contact.
I think there was eliminate a couple of things in those windows to make it a big pane of glass more clear.
And a lot of that is for breakage, so it doesn't just blow out big chunks.
So the students would go through the vestibule to get to the library?
No, it
No,
would
it'd
pretty
be
much
that
stay
hallway
about
open.
the same, cause it already has a good vestibule.
So it's just moving that.
Just to move I think gonna move the communication part indoors.
And then make sure, and Maria, do you remember from the office? If we were gonna open up that line of sight or the other.
I think you could see it pretty well, but yeah. Communications.
Yeah, in that tunnel, for instance, does it have any type of asbestos that you're aware of? Still,
Oh, I'm sure,
Yes.
I'm
it's in
sure
the-
some of it there
Yeah.
probably is.
So we have to have asbestos abatement
Mhm.
included in that.
See, when we talked about doing it, we talked about chopping a hole in the floor of that one classroom into the tunnel. And then that way you can go this way and you can go that way. But there's a lot of stuff that can be eliminated. I mean, a lot of stuff.
Mhm.
Does this fix that wall that's crumbling?
No, I don't know.
Yeah, wasn't that part of it?
Up
We're
to-
going to evaluate that and see.
I think that,
Whether it was like 48 or 50.
That was support wall.
Good while we're there, we need to do it.
That junior or that grade school bathroom right now, I think there's 4 toilets in there. And I think only one of them, maybe 2 of them work. I don't know what kind of toilets they are, but.
That's actually something Craig's
Huh?
working.
Outdated, no doubt. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, that's something
Yeah,
Craig's
there's
working on
some-
now, trying to get a price.
Trying to get some different fixtures of some sort to coincide with the existing plumbing is the hard part.
Yep. And then you would, add the ADA chair that thing.
So the one roof replacement is the new locker rooms and stuff out there, weight room.
mhm.
That's where the fire is. Yeah. Smoke.
I would on their lift. I don't know what it would look like, but that main. Right by the office staircase, there is a room at the landing that occasionally gets used. I'm just thinking everything they use is more towards that side versus the other. Staircase right now. So I think there's 2 rooms that use upstairs, is that right?
That back stairs, there's a
Those are
classroom.
narrow, those are narrower.
But they're a lot narrower too, coming down the back way.
No, sir.
So what about this building?
So then,
It needs a roof
Mhm.
and, try to do some plumbing.
The plumbing lines.
Needs fixed.
Hopefully some water.
I think
this outlet.
Fix this outlet.
outlet
here.
for here.
Maybe put multiple outlets, so get rid of the electrical strips.
Uh-huh.
Should we just do the roofing on the capital outlay? Like, do it soon? Do it soon?
I don't know how much was allowed for a roof on this building.
150? That sound right, Maria?
I have it at 98,000.
Yeah, part of all those other.
What's that?
Included with all the other.
Yeah.
That's in with all the other roofs, so we already got it covered.
Yeah, so we're already moving it out there, or
Mhm.
we're moving it over to the additional
This would
side. Include in all those drainage stuff, all that exterior envelope. You know, around the outside of the building, get them all drained. Water run where they're supposed to is all part of this. On the part of it. Gonna do any kind of secured entry here? Or you already got it?
We kind of got a line of sight and a door and a buzzer and. The buzzer makes the gals feel a lot safer now. I think that we have a buzzer, so.
There's an OVAC. The new communication stuff will all be done here though too, when it. Don't you have access into the schools, right?
Yeah, access to the security cameras and all that. Yeah.
Let's go back to the beginning. Right there you go.
So my math shows if we started with the 10.25 and we took out the district parking for 450, add in the lighting at 345, take out all the roofs except for the middle school, that's 495. Add back in the ADA items and the bus barn number there on the right, then we're at 10,179,000.
And like I say, I put them roofs out there, what each one cost. And the additional items. Yeah, the additional. And if we got the money,
Those over there.
Mhm.
we could pick them off as
Yep.
we go instead of putting them on capital outlay. Yeah.
Mhm.
And that second set of.
Second set of
Left,
88
left,
for
and
the Garfield. Yeah, Garfield upstairs, 88, put it over there too, as an additional item.
Does Lakeville have a storm shelter?
Yes, and it's underneath the wood shop. So there's an outside set of stairs and an inside set of stairs.
So this wouldn't actually give them, anybody that's wheelchair bound in Wakefield to the basement.
No. It's go across the gym and through the wood shop and down a set of stairs
Jeff,
or
what
go,
kind of stairs are those going down?
they're concrete.
They are concrete.
One there. Probably fairly wide, probably 5 foot. Cause that's where they store all the lumber and everything for the wood projects and everything like that. And plus, I think the football storage for helmets, uniforms and all that stuff. At least that's what used to be down there.
Similar.
Actually, it's
It's a room similar to what's below the stage, really.
Yeah,
It's up
yeah.
at high school.
is there, but there's, actually, it's a tornado shelter for, used to be, and I assume it still is, for the people in the park in the summertime. There's one
Is that
there.
why there's
one-
exterior door?
That's why there's, well, the exterior's door because of football. I mean, they can go down there, but yeah. But that exterior door. Could a chairlift be put in there? Well, probably. So we could put that as additional, as an item over there to look at. I think if you put one in there, you'd probably want to put it on the exterior, which really doesn't help anybody in the building because then it impedes what they use it for. Right. Because that's where they put all the lumber and all the storage stuff for the shop and all the, goes down there. I mean, they've got that lumber separated so it doesn't warp and things like that down there on racks and. Yeah. But not saying they can't work around it, but that's the tornado shelter for Wakefield School. Right.
Or maybe not a full lift, maybe like one of the emergency sleds, I think what we would call it, to use the hospital, like a last ditch, we got to get you down there.
Can look at something to clean that up. And that was the main purpose of that basement when they first built it, was a tornado drill. Because it used to be a tornado drill, you got out in the hallway and put your head between your knees and lean against the wall.
Under the
Hope
trophy
nothing
case,
happened.
covered in glass.
Yeah, yeah.
I think
That's what you
I would-
used
I
to
think
do.
I would go down and hide behind the boiler.
Yeah.
Is where I would go. After being down in there, yeah. I don't think it's.
The only bad thing there is that one whole wall's 90% glass where all the windows are. Ooh. Any other discussion on that? We can always on the 8th add a couple more additional items that people think about. That fits within our same realm. Takes care of. And I still, my question is, so we get back to pricing on some of this. Is that, do we still have the flexibility to say, hey, we'd be better off to do that in capital outlay and put this? Because the general question is just improve this to each of the schools. We can still, whatever we figure out best for our capital improvement also, we do have that leniency.
Yeah. A lot of times what I see boards doing is your capital outlay can still continue to build. You can pay for these things out of the bond. And so those things like the sidewalks out in front of the middle school, anything that is work that you're doing at the building, capital outlay or bond related, put it into the project, bid it out, pay for it out of the bond, because those dollars are allocated to specific items like this. They can pay for additional ones. And so you get that money assigned, allocated and paid, and then you can use your capital outlay for additional items as well.
Here to stack off this is ADA. Being a, besides, compliant. Then is a room for improvement. That's what I'm wondering about. If you're looking at renovation.
I think there's room for more marking and just visibility to what we do have in the back, because the back is nice and spacious, and we have had people use it.
Yeah.
It's just knowing that it's there, and I think there's a sign out front, so.
Yeah, and along the drive, it says it's back here.
That's why I'm just checking to see if it's something that needs to be upgraded or at least improved in some ways, either here in the front.
If you did something in the front, that would be real large money, I would think.
Well, there is a ramp.
There is. Yeah.
We do have we have a door, we don't have a buzzer system in the
Goes
back.
down to that park.
Right.
It's like
You
UPS.
think it's too
Looks like
steep?
it slopes too much, I would want anybody pushing me down.
We don't have any ADA parking marked out.
I
there,
don't
but
think it's
we-
any, more.
We do
I know,
have
I mean,
that.
out front, we don't have any ADA.
So,
parking
and they
out
must
front.
have done that up this code.
Yeah.
I think it's more steep than yours.
That's why I was just curious about it, since, we're discussing on the ADA. Type of upgrades and some of the other buildings. That's why I was looking to see just ideas,
Probably
here,
not a
if
handicap
there
bathroom.
need to be anything here at the SAC.
This first one.
Or the first one is.
Yeah, first one's a handicap passage.
And something that'll happen on all your parking lots, we had our, we were randomly selected. For OCR from related to Perkins a few years ago, and we did have to add additional spots at the high school, so that's gonna actually happen when you're tearing out the middle school parking lot. You're gonna have to upgrade and count your stalls and add some, most likely.
Anything else with any of that? Bid, it's mill levy neutral. Bid in, but it's being responsible. So it'll wipe out a lot of things that will make it much more easy on our capital outlay. If those things come up, we can bite off a few more things. And not have to wait so long. On some of that. Or do you have anything else? Otherwise? That's, so the years and the amount, you have this general outline, we're all good with that general outline.
We had a
Take a
conference
lot of
call
time.
with our bond council last week before the break. And Maria, I don't think anything they've changes the question that they've drafted,
Correct.
but we could call Clayton if we needed to on the question, but would you agree with that? Maria?
That's correct. Yeah.
Nothing's-
Nope,
Change to that.
all of these fit within the ballot question already.
You guys can see that question in your packet there.
And then as we promote it and get it out there, we'll have the more specific list for everybody.
I just have one question. Why do we have Clay Center in there in parentheses after USD 379 Clay County, Kansas? On this deal, it's in our stuff though. Is there a reason? We have to do that?
There is a couple of places in the state where they still call it Clay Center, even though legally for Clay County, there's been some update things that we see things occasionally that it's a USD 379 Center, whereas we continue correct.
But it's a bond question or a bond for our county, so I don't see how that would. I just curious why it's in there.
Because the main office is in Clay Center, maybe.
Yeah, but it's USD 379 Clay County, Kansas. That's our school district.
I do not know. That would be something I'd.
I mean, it's listed several places in that document that was added on there. If you go to it's on every one of them, but
I'm called Clay then.
I just curious why it was in there. It doesn't make when we're USD 379 Clay County, Kansas, not Clay Center.
Hey Clayton, that's Brett Wilson. How you doing? Good, hey, one of our board members had a question on the ballot question. Where it says, shall Unified School District 379 Clay County, Kansas, parentheses, Clay Center, parentheses, the district B. Is there a reason why it says Clay Center specifically? Well, I'll put you on. You're on YouTube too, so just.
Yeah, so that's essentially the legal name of the district that the bond attorneys include in the ballot question. So they use information from the Kansas Department of Education to write that.
Interesting.
Any other questions for Clayton while we got him on the phone? Appreciate it, Clayton, thanks.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, bud.
Any other discussion?
August, do you want to explain? I'll probably mess it up, but there's a specific manner in which you guys, if you want to tonight, need to make your motion and vote. Take it away.
I'm gonna do my roll call.
If everybody's in agreement, that's not necessary, but if there's anybody that's gonna vote no, then we'll need to, so you might as well just, I guess, vote by roll call.
Yep,
Just
okay,
in case.
okay.
And now, since everybody's present, we don't need to fill out.
Tell them how they need to read when they're.
Well, yes, I've got the recommended motion
Okay.
there.
Oh, perfect, I have it here. So I move to approve the resolution authorizing and providing for the calling of a bond election in Unified School District in 379 Clay County, Kansas, Clay Center, for the purpose of submitting to the qualified electors of the district the question of issuing general obligation bonds of the district, authorizing application to the State Board of Education for capital improvements and state aid, and providing for the giving of notice of the bond election.
Second.
In the second, any other discussion? Yes.
Jason,
Yes.
Yes.
Linda,
Yes.
Dave,
Yes.
Andy,
Yes.
and yes. 7-0.
Very good. So our next step is we'll do the interview. Right?
Yep.
My question on that was, I know they have to submit their fees things through the state. Do they do that just whoever we pick submits those, or will they all? submit
No,
them
they
for
will all
approval?
submit it. I'm working with Frank Burnham with the state to determine what date, since our interview's on January fifth, usually he has it due like the day before. Because of New Year's and everything, I'm working with when he can review it and then have it back to you by the fifth. You are to do the interview and score them on the interview. And then open up their scores, so they don't, for their fee scores, so they don't want you to make this decision fully on their fee. So they have you score them and then do the fee. So he will receive their fees and score them. And then, after the interviews, then you can open up what their fee is. So,
If there's an issue with their fees with the state, they get the chance to adjust them or are they out? You know,
like what sort of issue? I mean, will
like
they,
the state would say that this fee is too high or it doesn't fit in or.
no, they will give you what they get from them.
Okay.
And KSD scores them,
Correct.
similar to how you guys.
I would just, before we do, I know we got another board meeting for them, but before we do the interviews, if you would get us the evaluation form before that
Yeah.
meeting.
Yes.
So we have a chance to look over and read it just before we come in
Yeah.
and sit down and that would be helpful for me
Yes.
to know. To know what's gonna be involved in. So.
Yep.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Keep us online. Thank you. Is that, so now we'll move on, executive session. Is that how much time? Okay. Yeah, is that, we get to read all again. That, so on executive session, is that, I mean, we go to executive session to discuss personnel pursuant to the non-elected personnel exception under KO and land, and that the open meeting shall resume at 7:45. The executive session should include the board, the superintendent, Jacqueline, and council. Second, all those in favor? Motion carries.
Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Thanks. Just.
Thanks, Graham.
Need to know or?
They drew back.
Thank you.
Deer hunt this week? That's a friend of mine, big boat hunter. Been out there checking in deer. Nope, got one over there, he's getting done, so I'm gonna call it.
Yeah.
Tanner was building some kind of deer thing today. Yeah. No, that's good.
Okay, we'll resume the regular meeting. And that's it on the except for to adjourn. So I move to adjourn the meeting. Second. Second, all those in favor?